Are tariffs your biggest problem right now? Maybe. How many millions of dollars are Trump's tariffs costing the automotive industry? What's the collateral damage of trying to reset the global trade war poker table? Join Doug Hadden, Joe Bercari, and Paul Machin as we ask the question, what are businesses supposed to be doing to adjust to the daily whims of one man? Say hello, join the live chat, and feel welcome. This is ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where some people learn more about how the automotive industry really works. Let's get started with top industry news and headlines that include Elon versus Trump, round 2. JD Vance meme, U.S. social credits, what? And is Trump a tariff taco? At the quarter hour or thereabouts, we're going to go into tariffs. Where are we now? We're talking with Doug and Joe and Paul. And there's collateral damage. I don't know if it could be measured. But how do you follow tariffs? Have we given up? I mean, it's still in the news. Tariffs explained, live updates on tariffs, what vehicles are subject to Trump's tariffs. And they are Trump's tariffs. I mean, let's just be clear. They're his tariffs. He ends his trade talks with Canada, threatens new tariff rate. Japan, Toyota, Honda, tariff tumult. That's 5 out of 6 headlines. So we're going to talk with Doug. You know Doug and Joe and Paul. And we're going to talk about it. Because obviously I can't. It's already so one-sided if you watch the news. Like, I need a panel to have a educated conversation. I say get to know your ecosystem. I still say it. We are the neutral zone. We're in the middle. That's why I have the JD Vance meme on my LinkedIn page. Why not? LinkedIn is so skewed anyways, I may as well try to pull in the other direction. Tuesday nights is the automotive ecosystem. So enjoyable. So educational. So much in one show. The last show we did a couple weeks ago, we talked about AI protecting your career. What you can do, you go to protect your job. 100 people already have. And you can skip ahead. Reed Hansen talked about AI updates and news and apps and tools. That was a pretty good show. Thanks, Reed. And then on Thursdays, sometimes, there's industry logistics. Boy, what a dangerous show that was. Credits, ratings, pricing, hacking. You can't talk about that. This is the automotive industry. But in case you want to know what's going on instead of just whatever the PR department wants you to know, you can skip ahead. Go to losing credits, 14-day ratings, subscription increase, accounts hacked. Skip ahead to 20 minutes. Ooh, profit and power or car hauling. Pick one. Gosh, Sue was on fire. What is it? What is this? Oh, man. And if you just can't get enough, tune in for Praying Your Car Gets There. You won't see that at NIADA, but you will. It just, All right, anyways, hey, man. Listen, I've said it. I'm broadcasting that we are not, here's what we're not doing on ATI. We're not shoveling leadership. We're not doing the future of speculation. We're not doing awards for no reason. Job promotions on paper, no. Single-digit percentage change, no. Rich executive feel-good stories, no. And sponsorship obvious, no. We are not doing those things anymore. Everybody else has that fully covered. So here's a news recap. What is happening? Well, a few weeks ago we talked about a burning ship bound for Mexico carried cars of Chinese brands. Well, it sunk, and along with $560 million. I'm not sure who's too broken up about it, but it's not good. We had round one a few weeks ago of Elon versus Trump. Well, we're back. Now, he said he regretted social media posts lashing out at Trump, which we knew he'd been forced to apologize because he was in, he's up against the president. Doge versus president. Well, Elon has now ripped the utterly insane Trump back the big, beautiful bill, which I think you should know just by the name, Big Beautiful Bill. Okay. So anyways, Elon's not into it, which is ironic. Head of Doge, previous head of Doge, whatever. And Marjorie Taylor Greene says it's a shit show. Because if anybody knows what that looks like, it would be MTG. So anyways, here we are. They're going nuclear. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a legitimate laugh. Trump threatens to deport Elon. Oh, man, that just is so good. Speaking of, see, where did the J.D. Vance meme thing come from? Did you know that there's this story? And I mean, it's being covered. It's not just a Reddit about a Norwegian tourist got sent back to Norway because he had a J.D. Vance meme on his phone. This story's real, and you know it's real because the press says it's not real, can't be real, there's no way. Well, it's making the rounds. It's real. And you shouldn't share the J.D. Vance meme on your phone if you're traveling internationally. So it is basically J.D. Vance as a baby, which is so funny. God, that's rich. And what's her name? She threatens to snitch on conservatives that criticize MAGA, which is great because that means karma really is a bitch. I haven't read the book. I'm scared as it is. And did you know China really does have a social credit system where you can get penalties and be denied, loans, travel, employment? This is China I'm reading. So, hey, the U.S. plans to review the social media accounts of people who apply for student and visiting scholar visas. Yeah, that's right. Remember that country in the primaries, China, that we were so opposed to? God, we're looking just like China. You voted for them. So, understanding the dynamics of abusive relationships. Okay, Jay, that's a lot. Stick to automotive. Charlize Theron rips into Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's $50 million wedding. They suck. Anyways, Podforce 1, he has his own podcast. Of course he does. Man, this is a lot like automotive. All right. Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa wants employees to be heard. This is a headline. And I'm like, you get in trouble when you share what you think. Like, the Trump administration isn't even a court. And they're saying, okay, are we going to do automotive news tonight? The mega bill axes the EV tax credit, which is interesting too because CarMax Carvana wants the EV incentives. Guys, I don't know how loud I'd say that. He's got pretty thin skin. Tesla Model Y drives autonomously from Texas plant to buyer in a milestone. Oh, here's a story. This is actually automotive. The car delivers itself when you buy it. Yeah. Go ahead and shout that from the rafters in auto transport. Now, the Trump administration had been actively pursuing policies to accelerate the development and deployment of autonomous vehicles. That was when him and Elon were pretending to be buddies? I don't know what happens next. Audi's trying to placate Trump by building a plant here, and that's gonna, so bookmark that. Because do you need to do that? I mean, how do you follow any of this? Auto supplier cut from the stock exchange after shares plunge, because we don't like losers. We like winners. Layoffs from Trump tariffs ripple across auto parts industry. Yeah, we love the guy. He really can't do any wrong. Give me expensive eggs. I love it. Tariffs threat blamed by some for empty dealership showrooms. Nah, just bad salespeople. We need more leadership. Customers bear $30 billion tariff brunt. Really? Inflation creeps higher. Dim chances of Fed cutting interest rates soon. What does this have to do with selling cars? Trump floats higher auto tariffs. Again with that? Trump set to soften auto tariffs after industry pushback. Oh, taco. Businesses expect to pass along half of tariffs. Auto imports cratering. Deja vu? Yeah, we did this last show. So that's a recap in a way. Here's another new round of tariffs. So how do you follow what to do? British automakers poised to restart U.S. shipments. Yeah, you may as well, because who can follow it? Trump halts trade talks with Canada over digital tax. This was yesterday morning. Yesterday afternoon. Oh, well, yesterday. This is still yesterday morning. We've just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country, trade to deal with blah, 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 just announced. Based on this egregious tax, we're terminating all. Here we go. This is your Taco Tough talk. We are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. And hours later, resume trade talks. That's fine. The whims of one man, I get it. We just love the guy. But if you're running a business, how do you... You're like the meme guy looking for safety problems, and there's one after another after another. So why are people calling Trump a taco? What does taco stand for? Here's what it means. The term taco, Trump always chickens out, was coined by a Financial Times commentator, clearly a Democrat, freaking Joe Biden. Because of the president's pattern of announcing heavy tariffs on countries and then later reversing, which I just showed as of yesterday. It's not just one day, it's every day. You can't follow it. You can't run a business. Tough shit. It's true. There's nothing you can do. Trump dings Mr. Japan on auto trade as tariff deadline nears. Mr. Japan? Can you... Sure, he can say what. It's just locker room talk. It's nothing. Humiliation for Donald Trump as U.S. trade deficit increases to $70 billion. It rose 11%. My favorite part about this headline is the word humiliation. Because, man, boy, oh boy, do people hate being embarrassed. It is like death. So, in your wide, wide world of Trump's tariffs, I found this. And here's what I found after it. It's all rhetoric. Big trouble, tiptoeing around tariffs, material. These aren't even actual tariffs. It's all rhetoric because you can't follow it. Lower UK-US car tariffs take effect, but no progress on steel. Well, how long does that last? A day? How are you supposed to build your business around all these problems? I like how CBT News, they just did a mishmash. This was the front page the other day, June 26th. Okay, Japan rejects US tariffs. Okay, which means, who knows? Stellantis reevaluate strategy. They want to hear what people think. Again, who knows? No one's going to say anything. This is 2025. California EV mandate blocked, which is woohoo, you know. And then mobile service is the future of fixed ops. Man, I thought I read that headline 5 years ago during COVID. So, who knows? And that's really the state of automotive news. There's no more, there's a little bit of automotive news. If you take out all the shoveling leadership and the awards and the rich guy news, you are left with like 10% news. There is not enough news anymore to go live every day. Now, I wasn't going live every day. I've seen many people try. There's no way. It's pointless. But it's an ecosystem, and I don't ship cars, I move something. My lips. There is a podcast, there is a website, and there is a panel. So do me a favor, stick around after this. We're going to be live with Doug and Joe and Paul, I hope, right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Understanding web traffic at your site can be a funny thing. Who, when, why? Then you have things like bounce rates, visit times, return traffic. The point is, you have traffic, but are you capitalizing on all that traffic and why they came to your site to begin with? You may do moving, vehicle inspections, car auctions, custom car building, car clubbing. Quotify is the first online shipping utility feature that helps you to retain the relevant traffic and capture business which is typically just sent away. It instantly allows your visitors to see multiple shipping companies' rates and live reviews with an option to book the shipment now or email it for later. If you have car shipping relevant traffic, then why not swing the bat and make some money along with some other added benefits? The best part of Quotify is that it's free. Yes, that's right. We actually pay you to offer your visitors something they most likely need anyways. So let's wrap this up. It's a totally free utility feature that will increase your site visit times, lower your bounce rates, increase return rates, and we even pay you to use it. Sounds too good to be true. It's not. Sign up today or call now to speak with a commercial account specialist.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter to quote the right price the first time, every time. Run your business with TAQ. Visit transportautoquoter.com. The link is in the live chat. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to, drum roll please, Doug Hadden, Joe Bercari, and Paul Machin. Gentlemen, can you see me and hear me okay?
Hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Absolutely. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, taking the time. I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to try and stop talking for 20 minutes straight, is that, I'm thinking, and I'm like, things have changed a lot in the last 5 years. Why did I pick 5? Because I don't even remember before COVID at this point, right? But where are we? Who wants to kick this off? Does anybody have any pressing thoughts about tariffs?
I think we're going to have an incredible next 5 years.
We are?
Why is that, Paul? Oh, wait a minute. That was your line, Jake.
No, you got it. Take it. Why is that, Paul?
Well, I think that, as we always say, dealers are quite resilient and creative. And one of the things that we always say, control the controllables in the industry, right? I can't control tariffs. I can't control the macro and microeconomics outside my glass walls in my, a little kingdom if I had a dealership. But what I can control is in my store, my people's attitudes, the quality of the vehicles that I am able to get, making sure I get the right type of inventory, not just any inventory, because I got to have inventory, but really step up on the ones I really, really need. Going, like I said, great job on used vehicles, just making sure that there's focus. As good as F&I is, I think this is even more room for improvement there. There's some data, Brian Kramer, right, Doug and Joe, data he put out there. He did a study from 2000 through current, and it showed the margin compression on the used car side while the F&I margin skyrocketed, right? So he did a very in-depth analysis, and I still think there's more room there, especially now with increased terms, allowing us to add more soft ads. Fixed ops, I'm being blown away at some of the door rates these dealers are charging today. I just talked to a dealer earlier this afternoon, $270 flag time, per hour, just to look at a car. And just that overall attitude that dealers have, a right, tight, clean, professional presence. You do all of those things right, and you have good technology partners like Doug, Joe, myself, and others that we know that are out there. You can't lose. This is a gold. How often have you said that this market's going to be a gold mine? Jay? On your very show.
All right. This is really good because I'm kind of that opposing. I feel like I'm the opposing voice at the moment, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the market really good right now? I don't need to be right. Tell me, is it great?
Well, total sales for Q1, roughly for new cars, which I call the used vehicle factory, 3.9 million new vehicles were sold. Our best in the past 50 years, year-over-year sales rate that we've had. You know, they're anticipating that the SAR right now, if you just use Q1, it's going to be 16.5 million. But realistically, that's going to start dropping because of the post-tariff. The only reason why we had such a strong Q1, in my opinion, I could be wrong, Doug, all right, Joe, is because of FOMO. I don't want to wait until tariffs hit so people didn't understand the impact of tariffs. So they went out with just buying anything that they can buy, both new and used.
I think. Let me add to this a little bit. Just my experience, because we service a number of inbound volumes where production is outside of the United States. You know, whichever side of the border. And what we saw was with the beginnings of the rhetoric and all of the tariff discussions and so on. It was as though the inbound, especially rail lines, became verklempt, shut down. It was they sent as much as they possibly could across when it was a surefire going to get across before whatever day it was, the Freedom Day or whatever line that was. And then when it was apparent that was not going to happen, and by the way, the same thing with exports, United States exports, it was a mad dash to put everything possible out into the ecosystem. In fact, to the point where they were neglecting domestic dealerships to try and push as much domestic volume as they could, out to Mexico and over to Canada. And so kind of a weird time for a period there, probably, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks or so. And then it was everything shut down, everything shut off. It was domestic only production, a sort of a float back to normal, if you want to call it that. And then there was a point in time, and I couldn't point to any particular rhetorical commentary from any talking head that I could pay attention to anyways. But there was a point in time where all of a sudden the manufacturers sort of collectively, they all kind of get on, all said, okay, we're past this. This isn't going to be a problem. Get the wheels back turning again. And we had an absolute bonanza in March. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy month. Just the volume that we were hit with was just stunning. It was 5 weeks worth of pent up, volume that had been sitting there and waiting to, for it to release. And you take that in conjunction with other typical, new model year changeovers and half model years and all those kind of normal production kinks and whatnot. It slammed the heck out of the OEM side, March going into April. And it's remained fairly strong on the inbound side kind of ever since then. So I can't say that I have seen, since April, I can't say that I have seen a real drop off on inbound products coming in from across the borders, whichever border that they may be. Now, with that said, let me also add on to this that, interest rates have got to be a factor in this equation somewhere. You cannot continue to have capital costs rising and interest rates staying above a certain number. And it's just like every administration that I can remember since I got into this business. The president doesn't like what the Fed is doing. The Fed doesn't like what the president's doing. They're each blaming each other for the reason why they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. And so right now, just watching those two squabble, is almost its own form of entertainment, I suppose. But so I think that is a factor in what is happening, whether it's part of a pullback or whether it's pulling things back or will pull things back as we wait. There were some signals that some basis points were going to go away. think we'd all love to see that for all kinds of different reasons. We'll see. But so much of our industry is tied to what that Fed does and how what the tariffs do. You know, if it's a meaningless amount of a delta between what you would pay before versus now, then then the interest rates are really the guiding light in my mind.
A quick full disclosure here, because there might be some conversation between Paul and I, like, oh man, I really believe what Paul's saying. I really like Paul and I worked together for many years, been friends for quite some time. I respect him and all the stuff he's done for the industry. So in case you guys like, that's weird, those guys like seem to like each other. Well, that's because we do. Been partners for a while. We work together at some big software places, so that's where that comes from. I will say this: I am the old guy of the four squares here. My square is much older than, and probably could combine a couple of your squares to get to my square's age. But here's the industry that we're in. The industry that we're in, whether it's new car or used car, has been through things like, let's go way back when. I remember sitting, okay, this is part of the old thing. I remember sitting in the back seat of my dad's Chevy, and Mom and Dad would pull up to the gas station, and we could only go there on certain days based on the last letter of our license plate because there was an oil embargo.
Right.
Did dealers struggle back then? Oh, absolutely, they did. And then moving a little more, somewhat closer to certain times, hey, bring your car in. Your old beater. We're going to pour some silicone glass liquid in the engine and blow it up and give you X dollars for it. Was that a hard time? Yeah, that was really a rough time for dealers. And then there was, I don't know, then all of a sudden the world shut down because the World Trade Centers were brought down. That was a horrible time for all of us. And a bad time for dealers. Most all these things that happened, almost all dealers survived. Then we woke up one day and looked out the door, and there was nobody walking on the streets or driving because we had a worldwide pandemic. Mm-hmm. So that was hard. A lot of dealers suffered, but a lot of dealers also made it through. I guess what I'm trying to get at is this: tariffs, pandemics. Oil embargoes, melting engines in old cars because we're gonna save the planet from all kinds of bad carbon, whatever all that is. This industry, these retailers, these wholesalers, these transporters, these finance companies, the flooring, the software. You know what? We've all survived. Yes. Those industry old guys have seen a lot, but we've all survived. Things do slow down, but things pick back up. It's a tough industry. It's tough to get into, and it's impossible to get out of, by the way, in case anybody understands that, right? Yeah. But it's tough to operate in. So I think us as non-dealers and vendors, I think our job is to do everything we can to help those dealers survive those times. So for us, it's simply, hey, here's the data that's out there. Here's what's really happening in real time. And that's how we help our dealers survive and overcome that. Whether some are having even better months because of this. Like I got a great, for instance, that I've been wanting to share. Got a phone call from a friend of mine at a Mercedes store. Mm-hmm. Tariffs are coming. There's all this news. Oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end. What are we going to do? I don't know. I got however many hundreds of millions of dollars of Mercedes out there. So what do? They get on YouTube and all the social media sites, and the selfie thing with, hey guys, you need to get down here before all our pre-tariff inventory is gone. They had a banner month. Mm-hmm. So it's so hard to bring a level to this because whatever it is that they throw at the industry, the dealers are going to figure out a way to make it happen.
Hey, I want to thank you for that absolutely perfect segue for the key point that I wanted to bring up on this cast, Doug. That was masterfully done, and by the way, we didn't plan it, so it was really masterfully done. But my point was going to be something along the lines of one of my favorite quotable people, which is Will Rogers. In times like these, it helps to remember that there have always been times like these.
That's right.
I was born at the time when you were referring to when you had to wait in line for fuel. I don't remember it, but I would say that before that, there was a president named LBJ that put together a tariff called the chicken tax. And the chicken tax actually on the United States side had nothing to do with chickens per se. It had to do with there was a tariff imposed by the Europeans on American chickens. And so in retaliation for this, the United States came up with a whole bevy of other tariffs that they threw out there, and it was on a bunch of stuff. But the most notable one was on light trucks. And the objective there was to prevent non-American, non-domestic light trucks from entering into the market, a protectionist thing to try and keep, the domestic manufacturers happy. Well, the interesting thing about this, the chicken tax, is that today the chicken tax does still exist. For some reason, I really do not understand. It is the only thing remaining on the chicken tax has nothing to do with chickens, which is still light truck imports coming into the United States. What was the outcome of the chicken tax? Well, several non-American based manufacturers built assembly plants in the United States to try and dodge the chicken tax. And the other thing that happened that was kind of interesting was that non-domestics would start importing vehicles that were incomplete into the United States, so that way they could complete their production in the U.S. and basically bypass the I think it was like a 49% tariff on that was levied against the chicken tax. So my point to all this is that we've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen this before. To your point, Doug, there's going to be some sort of mechanism to get to work our way through this somehow. It's probably not going to be as clean or beautiful or hilariously named as the chicken tax, but we will find our way through this somehow or another. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult for some folks out there. I was just having a conversation with a different carrier, a friend of the show, earlier today, and he was talking about how he was really struggling on the East Coast, and there's a lot going on there that he's had to work his way through. So I'm hopeful that will turn. I hope that what you guys say is true. I have a great deal of faith in the American system to be able to work its way through this. And, I hope that at the end of this we're all prospering and laughing at whatever stupid name that we come up with for whatever this era has become.
Yeah. You said it. You both said it very well. I didn't know about the chicken tax. Thanks for the history lesson there. That was awesome.
Hilarious.
That was awesome. As soon as you said it was to prevent the light trucks to come in the market, my mind went to that first Nissan small truck that hit in the
bingo,
right? It became the #1 selling truck then. I know that because I was trying to buy one I was going to restore it, just have fun with it. But to your point, both your points, the resiliency that these dealers have is just phenomenal. The tariffs, when you really get into it, they're really not impacting the used vehicle market the way the used vehicle market is being slowed down right now. The more of the impact is really on the new car side, the used vehicle factory for future production, and understanding what are the 4 barriers, right? So I think one is if the North American content, vehicles made in final assembly, U.S., Canada, Mexico. I think that's 0 tariffs. Vehicles that are assembled in either Canada or Mexico, I think that's 25%, if I'm right. Gotta hear something.
Paul, I tried to read, there was a document that was sent out by NADA.
Yeah.
And I tried to read through that document. I'm like, I got a headache. It's like, wait a minute, a certain percentage of parts, driveline, and this and that. And, the manufacturers have already, even before this, they were asked, the sourcing was obviously wherever the cheapest they could possibly get it to happen.
Right.
And I mean, there were some of the parts were built in the U.S., some partially assembled. Then when I got to the partially assembled thing, I'm like, I'm not going to read this anymore.
That's my point. Those parts.
Everywhere. So I don't think they've figured it out. The guys that wrote it don't even have it figured out, I don't think.
Yeah, when you get into it, you start
Jay,
reading.
we can't hear you. Jay, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Did we do that?
Yeah, I was on courtesy mute. I was very courteous. Okay, so thank you. So that's what I want to ask. If you're a business, do you just reach the point where you're like, let's just do our business? I can't keep up with this.
I think that's all you can do.
100%.
Yeah, and then you figure out what, like if parts are going to be a challenge. If you got to buy parts that are completely foreign made, you should try to figure out the aftermarket parts provider that is here in the United States that's offering to lower your cost of sale and acquisition, because that's the whole intention behind it.
But are you gonna build? Are you gonna? I think like somebody like Audi trying to placate Trump or whatever. Guys, I don't think we're gonna just build a plant because of today's news.
No, there's no way. I think
a lot of those plants have been planned for quite some time, and they're just going to move the calendar up on them. Basically, I think there are maybe.
I don't even know if you could do that. Though. I don't even know if you could do that. Take a look at what Ford with Blue Oval City. Their fastest turnaround to put that to stand that plant up was going to be.
Oh my gosh! And that's an EV plant, right?
Yeah.
Look at where that is now compared to when they drew up the plans.
And it's an incredible story that location, because for lots and lots and lots of reasons. But that the shortest that they could stand that plant up, and that's if they had shifts and shifts of people working, every minute of every hour of every day, from groundbreaking to ribbon cutting, was something like like 39 or 42 months, and that, believe me, is lickety split fast. These things are planned for 5 to 10 years. By the way, they're not breaking ground on an assembly plant unless they have a 30-year plan on it, because that's, because of whatever the financing and bonds and all that goes into it. By the way, don't forget the infrastructure that goes around an assembly plant between rail and, you got to have housing, you got to have support and infrastructure, you got to have all of the things that people want in their housing, support and infrastructure, grocery stores, electricity, water, all of that.
And it's just not that manufacturer either. It's the suppliers now have to be, I don't know, what's it called, Paul? Real time or on demand or
just in time.
Just in time supply lines. They take the suppliers have to build their factories next to the manufacturer's factory. So
or they have to pay for the transportation, which means that you're dealing with infrastructure on roads and all this kind of. It is no small feat to be able to put these things together. There are civic plans and discussions that go into mapping this kind of stuff out. That's decades long, decades. So this is not a small feat.
This part might be kind of gross, but I figure I don't know why, Jay, but I figure it's on this. It's okay to say on this show. That's weird. But
say anything.
There's no rails here. When they built that ginormous Toyota plant that built the Toyota Tundras in Texas, one of the problems they had was sewage. Like they had to, because they knew, as to Joe's point, they were going to build houses. There's going to be other suppliers. That was a huge infrastructure upgrade for that area, and that was the first thing they had to do before they could even break ground on it.
Sewage? That's as bad as it got?
Yeah, well, that was just to get the place open. And then there's others that I think it was a Subaru plant that spent a lot of effort and time. The gas that leaves their local dump, they actually pump that gas into they pump that gas into the manufacturing hubs, and they use that to power some of the tools. Yeah. So they're taking trash that in
dump gas.
Yeah, it's the bad fumes,
methane. Wow.
And they use that to run some of the machinery.
Don't tell the EPA; they'd be freaking out.
No,
they like it.
They love it because they don't release that into the air. So there's all that stuff. Again, going back to where the main thing here is the tariff. Again, everybody can overcome stuff, right? That's this industry is an industry of overcomers, whether it's manufacturing, retailing, transport.
I want to say this. In my scour of the news, I saw this interesting headline about hybrids that so dismissed for so long, and now that's a good one. In fact, I think I would If I was in a new car, I'd probably shop hybrid.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, they've been out on the market now. They're at this point, their reliability is pretty well tested, and the technology has improved so dramatically over such a period of time. Just think about your phone 5 years ago, and versus what you're working with today, and how much different the battery life is, and the applications, and the power, and so on and so forth. I mean, take that times the size of an automobile and the technology that has been added to it. So, I mean, over time, these things do become refined and better. I mean, that's just how that works. The same thing will happen, by the way, with electric vehicles. Whether I know that's a little bit of a
and that's
touche, but
that's actually kind of my confession, is that I think that EV will have its day.
Oh yeah.
I think that it felt like it was kind of being crammed, and we knew there'd be a pushback, and that's kind of where we are now. I think hey Joe, what do you think of Elon? I don't mean to make a dust up. I just mean Tesla saying that the Model Y, it was the first car delivered to a customer by itself.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Okay. I say the same thing about that as I say about just about anything else with Tesla. How many vehicles are they going to produce in a year? And what percentage of the market is Tesla? It's like 0.8%,
Okay.
something like that. That's okay. Good for them. But
it's an expensive ride, right, Joe?
I would say it's a.
And it was a short.
Paul. It's an expensive gamble, because because you have to be sure that it's going to get where it's going to get, and how many times is your GPS taking you down the wrong street, and so on. And by the way, what happens if that vehicle's on its way to be delivered and gets into some kind of accident? Who owns the fault of that, and how does all that stuff work, and how does that impact things like insurance? I mean, once again, there's a bigger picture here, is kind of a rule of five. Whatever question I come up with, there's five more that probably are even better. And I think that's a really interesting thing. But I think it's a fascinating concept. But again, their volume is so tiny relative to the rest of the market that I just am not sure it. Okay. It's sort of like F1 race cars. I love watching F1 racing. It's fascinating. The technology is amazing, and so on and so forth. But it's 10 years before any of that shit finds its way into the car you're driving.
True. Okay, so I just want to say this, and all industry is facing an AI displacement.
Yep.
Nobody's safe. Even car valets. You've seen the little scooty things flipping around that can go under a car, lift the car, move the car. No matter what it is, there's AI displacement. I have said that I think there'll be an amount of cars that deliver themselves at some point. It won't be soon. It won't affect any of us. It really won't. But one day it will affect some groups. That's not what I want to focus on, but I do find that headline interesting. What I really wanted to ask is, can I ask in generic terms what's affecting the East Coast business friend? Because I think, and this gets into the tariff thing, the FOMO. Okay, Q1 was amazing, but won't there be a trow to that crest?
Good. So let me ask this question. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna try and answer your question with a question. I probably won't be successful, but I'll try. Fortunately, there are two smarter people than me on this to help. But so if the demand of on automobiles is a relative constant, okay, people need to be able to get from A to B, and they need reliable mechanisms to be able to accomplish that task. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically speaking, we decide that we are going to put a massive priority on domestic production in the United States, and we are going to not allow any non-domestically produced automobile to be sold in the U.S. I mean, it's a ludicrous idea, but it's also ludicrous to not sell any combustion burning engines in a certain state. Never mind. So in the event that you do that, what happens to all of those people that work unloading those vessels? What happens to all those vessels that are coming in and out of those ports? What happens to all of those ports that store all of those cars, that process those cars, that prep those cars, that then release them through whatever mechanisms and so on and so forth? Are we really willing to just throw a hand grenade in that whole ecosystem so that way we can satisfy some sort of rhetorical agenda? I don't think so.
Yes,
we
are.
No, I don't think so.
Me and you are not.
I don't see it happening. At some point in time,
that
constituency is going to get kind of angry. I just don't see how that.
Well, Amazon supposedly just placed an order for close to 1 million robots that they have planned to have running their factory, running their warehouses in the next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, those people aren't just going to drop everything and say, "Okay, I guess I'm moving to Minnesota," or wherever. That's not. I don't see that happening. So I just don't. I guess my point is,
I like the optimism. I do. I need it.
Well, I just don't see. I think that right now that what is happening elsewhere, it's really just a localized thing. I think that we're busy in the Midwest right now, and I think it's going to start to sort of balloon out and then compress back, and then balloon out and compress back. And the rhetoric really doesn't help, to be honest. I mean, you just have these people that they're just making a lot of noise, and the markets go crazy because they're headline pushers and so on and so forth.
Well, I'm glad you said, because I was going to say, we didn't have Doug during those periods. And you actually, you kind of proposed social media in a good way, hey, deal with tariffs. But we didn't have social media tools during the embargo and those other things that I think are part of the problem.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. You think?
Don't start on social media, because I think that's a part of a lot of problems. But yeah, I think you're right. And I think, how does that affect people? How does that affect our industry? Well, I think we talked about that a little bit. We the dealers use it to overcome the current market, and I think again it boils down to, it doesn't matter what we're up against, but how are we gonna get through it? And that's the use of you started talking about AI. That's one of the ways that we're gonna get through it. That's once dealers figure out what that even means, they know the letters. They don't necessarily, and maybe they can get to the artificial intelligence part of it. But after that, they kind of get a blank stare. And Paul and I were at NIADA last week?
Last week.
I lost track of time. And at least for us, it was so busy. Like, Paul and I started a conversation, and we still haven't finished that conversation. We started Wednesday, but I got pulled in every direction. Dealers want to know, what can I do? What can AI help me through whatever sales slump or economic challenge that I'm facing? How can AI help me? What does it actually do? And it was, I mean, they came up with a lot of questions, and these are folks that still to this day swear that they can appraise a vehicle, and all they need is a piece of paper and a pencil. So
not even get out the chair.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to get up.
I got it.
I can see it from here. So for them to come out and I think the force, I think there was, I haven't looked at any of the numbers, but it sure looked like the turnout was fantastic. But they were concerned as, what can I use? How can my vendors help me get through whatever this thing is that I'm going to face in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? How can I be more level? Because look, our marketplace is like this constantly. It's whether it's new cars or used cars. Used cars are either coming up or down. New cars are either coming up or down. There's a supply chain issue. There's chip issues. I forgot to throw that one in on my first soliloquy there. But all that stuff. What is it that I can do to not be affected by those ups and downs as much, whatever they be?
And I think AI is a little bit of a cheat code. A lot of people kind of are using it as a solution in search of a problem, kind of thing. I think there's a place in it in the world, and especially when it deals with some of the analytics and things like that, that could be helpful for a dealership. But to sit there and pin your hopes on on ChatGPT, yeah, I probably would go a different direction.
Challenge with that, you're right with it, and it's to Doug's point. That was the number 2 question that was asked while I was at NIADA. So number 1, how can I get more inventory because I just can't get them the way I need to get them? And number two, how should I be using AI in my organization? And when I started explaining, I said, if you're going to implement an AI chatbot, what's the process that you plan to use to inspect and improve the usage of that AI chatbot? You just can't plug and play and walk away and forget and let it go like you did when I installed DealerTrack e-contracting for you 10 years ago. You thought it was just going to magically do its own business for you. You have to have a process that you implement to use good technology. Otherwise, it's just another big paperweight, right? And that's what Doug was experiencing. Because I was watching some of these people asking him some of these questions, is they wanted the answer, but they didn't like it. Right. They didn't like it at all.
It's not magic.
They wanted it.
It's another tool.
Do it. And I'm going to go to the Caribbean, let it run my business for me. Now,
I will give you an example on some of the things that I said to him. Back in the day, going back to the guy that knows exactly what that car is worth and doesn't have to go look at it.
Right.
Those days are gone, right? Dealers today, they pay a little bit more attention to their money than they used to. They're not going to let a used car. I used to take the dealer's checkbook and hand off to the auction, and I knew I was going to buy a bunch of cars based on my true understanding of the marketplace as it was then. And I knew what that car was worth. I was going to gamble on every car, thinking I could sell that car based on the knowledge that I had. And frankly, it was a gut feel when I raised my hand in the air. That doesn't work anymore. They have to have the exact view. They have to know. I always say this: nobody ever has given a definition to true inventory management for our industry on the retail wholesale side. It's always been a gift. And what it really is, it's having a plan, and this is how AI can help. It's having a plan before you write the check, the ACH hits your account, before however you're going to pay, right? The electronic transfer, it doesn't matter, your stack of cash. You better darn well have a plan to be profitable on that vehicle, whether it's a trade, whether you bought it at the auction, whether it was off the street, however you acquired that vehicle, you better have a plan to be profitable on each and every unit before you write the check, the money comes out of your account, whether it's wholesale or retail profitability, you better have a plan. That is true inventory management. And that's the kind of thing that the AI can help. Is this a car, how many cars are in this? And once trained properly, it does help. And I think the other piece is 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even, maybe not 5 years ago, because I was kind of involved at that point. But prior to 5 years ago, if you would have said, hey, Doug, I can tell you what a car sells for, or is going to sell for wholesale, and I can be within $100 of what at that auction. No, that's impossible. We do it every day now because of the use of AI, because we've trained the machines. We have the information on these vehicles. We've 5 million inspected vehicles, and that information is fed into the AI. And hey, what are they wholesaled for? What are they retailed for? What condition are they in? And that it's basically a way I look at it anyway. It's a mega calculator. Yeah, it takes all those factors, and it even takes in factors what the market has slowed down, the market has sped up. Here's what that car is going to sell for. And trust me, the first couple times I did it at NADA in front of a bunch of dealers, I was thinking, well, what could my next career be? I've only done this for 40 plus years, but if I tell these dealers that this car is going to sell for X and it doesn't, I'm in big trouble. And sure as heck, man, I was within $70, $40. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what these types of tools can do to help dealers get through those times and maybe take some of that, might take some of the peak off, but it'll definitely take some of that dip off, and that's what they're all looking for.
Well, I think what you're saying here is that what AI does is it streamlines the KPIs and metrics that make business owners run their businesses better. And I think that ability to extrapolate that kind of information can be very powerful for someone that in the right hands. But I've said this before. Again, my little pithy anecdotes. To me, AI reminds me an awful lot of a kitchen knife. In the right hands, it's a very, very powerful tool, probably the most useful tool that you'll ever have. But in the wrong hands, it can do a lot of damage. That's not that good. So, to me, I think AI has a place in the world. It has a place in our ecosystem. And I think it can do some powerful things. But there's a lot of people that are just going to try and shove a square peg into a round hole and say, "Here, use this." And we're not going to get very far.
Doug, earlier you said talk about we're an interest rate based economy, right? We are a credit driven economy. So what has improved our financial prowess in financing vehicles the way we are today? AI. Jay, you may recall several of your shows that we've talked of 3-4 years ago talked about how we were creeping up to 72 months as a norm, and then went beyond 72 months.
Yeah.
Now we're at 84 months. Well,
We shot right past that one, buddy. That was
get this: Q1 this year, over 70% of all pre-owned vehicles that were financed, more than 72 months.
I saw that.
73 plus. That's by experience. Now, how are lenders able to make that kind of risk? And that's using AI. One of my companies that I helped launch in my prior career, they developed an AI based finance model. Doesn't use traditional scorecard at all, and they were beating the chest. Hey, we could, on certain types of vehicles, certain types of credit, we can do 120 month term. So now you can buy a 3-year-old Chevrolet, loaded out Chevrolet Suburban that's still selling for $90,000 and add 84 months to it. But you got to have all these qualifications way beyond stability, ability, and willingness to pay.
the problem with that is they're trying to trade in the new car that they bought during COVID that they're $9,000 upside down in, and they're trying to get out of that and be put in a used car so their payment goes down. And the only way to do that is finance it for the rest of their life. I think I've seen up in Canada. I had a friend call me one time. We were talking about the mortgages up there a long time ago. And he goes, "Yeah, we have multi-generational mortgages." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Basically, I'm signing for my son on the same house." Hopefully we won't get to that, but yeah, looking at some of those numbers on that article. I don't know if we were reading the same article, but it is absolutely, we're pushing out some of the trades for a little bit longer than they should be.
Yeah, the average age of a trade-in in Q1 was at 7 years and 7 months, and it's been steadily creeping up. So now think in terms of the car park, the availability of what's in the market today. Going back to why I think the market's a little bit slow is there's just not the ability to get as much inventory as a dealer needs. I talked to a dealer, 13 acre lot, had 90 vehicles on it, and begging to get more. Begging, just can't buy them because number one, he didn't properly prepare when it was sunny out. Right? Remember that expression, Jay?
Oh boy!
Fix your roof when it's sunny.
You're taking me back. Yeah.
Right? So it's raining right now. Dealers are struggling getting the kind of inventory they need. They're getting hammered by the OEs with overpriced new vehicles that are very slow to move without incentives. So now they have to migrate over to pre-owned inventory. And if it's a 0 to 4, it used to be 0 to 3. If it's a 0 to 4-year-old vehicle and it's got average miles per year, I guarantee you it's a shark feeding frenzy in the auction for that car.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you said. Okay, so that's another thing I can't parse anymore without help is what's really happening at the auctions versus private party acquisition. Take it away.
Oh man, you mean dealers actually figuring out ways to compete with the big box stores
vehicle buying centers and all that stuff. But yeah, tell me more about inventory acquisition mix for the,
So I don't know, Paul. I'm sure you remember we were in a meeting many years ago, and I threw something up on the screen, and it was acquisition types. It was the independents, how they did it, and the where were folks getting these vehicles, and the private party acquisition of that pie was a sliver.
Right.
Now, more used car dealers did because they had what do they call those sandwich signs out front that said "We buy cars, pay top dollar." Right? They got it at least a little bit, but new car franchises were like, yeah, whatever. But to your point, Jay, now there's guys that Fiat franchise that didn't have a lot of ROI. Well, that's now our buying center.
Yep.
And there's all kinds of, it goes from that is kind of the epitome of it, right? I've got 15 guys, they're on the phones, they're getting customers to come in. But then where's that leave the single point franchise? What do they do? Do they have a buying center? No, but there's ways. We have a thing on no plug here, but we have a thing called ClearCar that dealers use now. That there's a lot of different ways to get the consumer to come in and sell you their car, but there's right ways, and I think we've kind of figured out some of that secret sauce. Having and going back to even having AI help that.
Right.
The biggest issue that I've always seen with that, even when I was in the business and I tried to buy customers' cars off the street and out of the service drive, was anytime they get any kind of a number, there'd be two different ones. There'd be the one that they thought the car was worth based on what they looked up on the internet. Then there was the number that we would give them on the internet. And then there was the argument that proceeded when they showed up at the dealership to actually sell us the car.
Right.
And all those numbers were always different. And it was a horrible experience for the consumer. But I think, dogs running around. But I think we've kind of figured that out a little bit, and with the assistance of AI, asking the right questions, and literally having the system, if you will, take all the responsibility for the valuation of the vehicle. But meaning this, here, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, give us a couple of quick answers here. Condition of this, condition of that. Yes, great. Tires good. This, that. Dings, no. And then here's a link. Check your phone for a text. We're going to text you a link. Just run out and grab a few shots. The AI drives those frames right there. It knows what car it is. We got the VIN. It's actually taking those photos, come back in, and all of a sudden that number has changed a little bit. Vehicles like yours will typically sell for a high. That's it. Ones that are like yours that are in excellent condition will sell for this. Ones that are in really not great condition will sell for this. And yours, based on the condition and the photos that you took, will be worth somewhere in this range. And it literally will spell out for them, you said it was perfect. The body was perfect. The pictures you took, here's what AI picked up. So now we can even blame AI. We can use AI to, to hit the car, right? It's not our.
Yes.
It's not, and the AI didn't call them a liar because they said that car was perfect, but it showed them what their car was worth and why it was worth. And I think, Paul, you've probably heard me say that like 500 million times. That's all a consumer wants. Show me what my car is. Not don't tell me what it's worth. Show me what it's worth and why it's worth that. And that's what we built. And that's what really, I think that's the big difference. You don't want to have that confrontation of, hey, this, you told me it was worth 10,000 and now you get here and you have that walk around and say, oh my God, did you drive this car here? Did you put your family in this car? All that stuff, that stuff that doesn't work anymore. It's got to be a true and transparent transaction. And once that happens, you know what? Then maybe they can, I don't know, maybe the customer's so happy, they're like, you know what? Maybe I would look at a new car. Maybe I would look at trading it now. But it just can't be what it used to be. Big difference.
Oh, you're 100% right. And I always say avoid conflict and confrontation, because the customers, when they use the word fear, that's never a good deal. That's never a good deal when they say, I'm afraid to go buy. But you just described using technology, the phone and the software for that. Then you describe how the AI was augmenting that technology. But then you also describe a specific detailed process that you make sure that someone physically engages and explains face to face with the consumer to be able to complete the transaction.
Yep.
The one thing I can say that the CarMaxes and Carvanas of the world, and now the top five dealer groups in the country are buying cars direct, is they've helped condition the consumer to believe a computer generated offer. And it's even more powerful and impactful when that is being presented by a person. I have a business partner of mine. He's created a niche within the buying process that says, hey, Mr. Customer, when we've inspected your vehicle using AI and a sensor program that we have found that what you thought Kelley Blue Book and CarMax is offering you 13.5. But did you know that all these things were wrong? And by the way, who cleared your engine code 200 miles ago? Because it came out in the report. And you're showing that report to the consumer. So now, in the old days, we call it touching the car, right? You praise a walk around, don't say nothing, just touch the vehicle. I used to love taking Abraham Lincoln and putting his head upside down between the tire tracks and going, oh, yeah, that's, and that was really all I would do. And lowers the value in their vehicle. But that's the right way to do it. But when I came across that vehicle and to what my business partner's done, he's encouraging our dealer partners to be able to literally say, if 33% of the vehicles that we appraise are perfect, they are gold, I'm actually going to pay you more money. So I don't have to go fight for this vehicle in the end. That's the car you step up on. But the car that's been hit and it's got all this other stuff that's wrong, now you can justify it and reduce the value and get the vehicle right.
Don't pass on that car. Take that car in, write them a check, and have a plan for wholesale profitability on every single car.
That's right. And how to make that work, right? We just went back to process. All right, Jay, I'm going to say it. People, process, technology. It works in that order, not any other way.
Yep. Then we can call Joe and say, Joe, come get this piece of crap off my lot and give it to the audience.
Let me ask you guys a question that's kind of interesting and maybe circles a little bit back to tariffs, but you made a couple comments about the big box stores and the way that they do things, and the personal touch of dealers and that gap in between. Do you feel like the changes to the marketplace after the big box stores came much more prominent is also driving like consolidation of those single point dealerships down into more conglomerations and things like that? I mean, it seems like that's what I see a lot is, dealerships will contact me and I'm keeping, all the manufacturers have a dealer code, I'm keeping the code, but we're now part of the J Auto group and so on and so forth, and maybe that's a little bit of an attempt to try and gain some purchasing power against the giants out there. Is that what you feel is happening?
Oh, absolutely. I'll go out on a limb and say the days of the standalone franchise dealer are. Frankly, I think it's not going to be that long before it's going to be really hard to compete. Because look, that's the law of large numbers. That's leveraging scale. I mean, that's all the stuff that you can do to be more efficient. And everybody laughed at the guys that would from the big box stores that would be in the lanes and they had their list in their hands, and we'd never seen them before at the auction because they were 16 years old. The way I was looking at it, maybe a little obviously they were older, but they're raising their hand like, look at that idiot. Yeah, what? Are you kidding me? He paid what for that car? But they had that car. The data told them that's what they should buy the car for. The data told them where they should send that car. I was looking at it like I'm taking it back to one of my 3 used car lots within most of the time it's an auction, so you're miles away from your stores because they don't build auctions conveniently located anywhere near you. But I'm going to take those cars back and sell them locally. The big box stores and the conglomerators now, they don't look at that. They look at what store needs what car for how much money what's the profitability on that vehicle at each and every store. So, as we were back in the day laughing at these guys, they didn't laugh back because
they were Moneyball.
They were busy making money.
That's right, Moneyball. Yeah.
leaving us behind.
And I wonder, and I guess where I'm going with this is, as that consolidation continues, it's sort of a 1-2 punch to that single point dealership because, they're already suffering from, this consolidation in the marketplace of buyers and sellers. And then on top of that, now the constrained inventory that is coming through, whether it's new or not new, is just going to starve them and choke them, because at some point in time, to the comment before about how I've got 14 acres but 16 cars, that's the death knell there.
Yeah, that's a very, very demotivating experience for the dealer. But I know personally of 3 dealer groups, mid-size, I'd say between 25 and 40 rooftops, have all recently brought on an M&A guy or gal, specialty, because they plan to take advantage of what they see is going to happen. And they want to get into that 60, 70 rooftop category as fast as possible. And they got deep pockets. They got venture capital money backing them on it.
Hmm.
to make it happen. So it's not if, it's when.
Yeah. I gotta hurry up and retire so I can get that domestic store in the small town and be the sponsor of the baseball team and all that. Yeah, right? That's the dream.
So, bonus question before I forget. John Larrick is asking, are dealers not pushing leasing anymore?
Oh no, leasing's way up.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's
We
coming-
talk more about leasing.
It's literally the result of, and it's the same result it happened earlier. It's the result of higher MSRPs, and it's just, and everybody gets leasing confused with, it's just another way to finance a vehicle.
Yeah.
That's all it is. What was that called back in the day? Half a car? Remember
Half
those?
a car. Ford's half a car program.
Well,
Right.
I financing half the car. Let me show you how this works. And it's literally just to get the payment down. But and everybody thinks it's a bad thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be if you're not careful and if a dealer wants to take advantage of it. But I think leasing will have a strong comeback because people are realizing a couple things. One, they don't want to deal with the service and the headaches if they don't have to, and leasing gives them a way out of that. Hey, I've had the car for 2 years, 3 years. What gets us in trouble with that is when we start doing that. You get in a 60-month lease, that's a problem. And
Right.
and that was the result of that was the
If
result.
you're gonna lease shorter term,
Oh, it has
stick
to
to
be.
that.
42 max.
Yep.
Okay, good to know.
Because otherwise, you're just financing the car.
Yeah. Otherwise, you should have just gone for
The rate
it's
goes
worse than
up
a
so
retail
far
rate.
up to protect the agent that they're not gonna, they're not gonna allow themselves to be stuck with the asset like that.
But
That's just
the problem
economics.
is this. The problem is we've set all these folks up that made these purchases during COVID. The ones we talked about earlier that are $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 upside down in their trade. What's the way to do that? Get to put them in a lease. And then but with the higher MSRP of the new car, we got to put them in the 60-month lease, and that's what we got to make sure we avoid.
I think we're going to see some creativity, mainly from the OEs, the OEM factories, the OEM finance arms, the capitals.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be leveraging AI to an incredible degree because they're losing ground to fintech startups that are already using AI to make these financial decisions, not structured scorecards, and to some of these credit unions that are very aggressive in the local communities that have adopted an AI model, a personal touch using AI. It didn't replace the person; it just augmented their ability to touch a customer better and make better suggestions. There's a growing trend. You may have saw it if you had a chance to walk around. There was three different parties that I saw promoting used vehicle leasing. We're going to see that making a comeback.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know if you remember Fifth Third Bank and U.S. Bank and GE Capital 25 years ago when they did used vehicle leasing. It was amazing.
Yeah. Remember the used Jeep lease? Oh my gosh! I don't know.
You just do anything, but aren't there now less financing options than there were?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There's probably more.
Okay. Really?
Much more creative financing
Yeah.
options. So you might be
Okay, you qualified it with creative.
Yes.
much more creative financing. So, let's go back to again. You remember when I talked about the K recovery, Jay? I mean, you may remember Joe, right? How our K recovery is going to look like. It's a bifurcated recession, right? Right now, according to Experience State of the Automotive Finance, they're saying that the biggest growth for the next few years is in two categories: super prime and subprime. So everyone in the middle is getting pinched out. And if you remember my theory of the K recovery is that there's a segment of people in the upper arm, but in the lower portion of the upper arm of their recovery, that through no fault of their own, their credit scores dropped. So pre-pandemic, 660 was considered prime. Today, it's near prime. In a year, it might be just subprime. And you did nothing different than pay your bills, go to work every day, manage your credit, do everything timely. Just the AI suggested that somewhere in the near-term future, think of a statistician for an insurance company, the probability for this to happen with you because you've got this kind of debt is very high. Whereas now,
Crazy, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? You think about that? It's like predictability, just crazy stuff. I'll give you a quick example. Just happened to me. I ordered something from one of the, I don't know, it was Grubhub or whatever it was, and I don't do it every day, but I do it once a week, probably, maybe, when I get or whatever, and it popped up. It said, due to the difficulties or the circumstances around the last delivery, we need to get the code to your gate. I don't have a gate, and I never had any difficulties, right? But if somehow the algorithm popped up that had been an issue, and it was asking me questions that didn't apply. So does it work every time? No. And that's an example of it right there that you gave.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't work every time, but when it does work, it works brilliantly.
Yeah, it does.
So we do have, and I've always said that the market that's coming, if the dealers are properly prepared, they've done several things correctly. This is a gold mine for them, a gold mine. Even if they're a single point store, and they do 100% service appraisal, no ifs, ands, or buts. They've trained everyone in their organization to be a buyer using some kind of technology, whether it's ACV Max, vAuto, or Appraisal Pro, or Trade Ninja. It doesn't matter. But whatever they do, they've got the technology. They've trained their people a process to engage their tribe.
The process in place every time, every car.
100%, right? Let me talk to you about your car. No matter where you're at, if the dealers that have embraced those 3 steps are not struggling today.
So I like to end every meeting with an action item, and I think one of the things that really got my attention was, Paul, you were there at NIADA when Doug was telling people, I wrote answers they didn't like.
Yep.
I would love to know more about what they were asking, the answers they didn't like, and part of that is understanding how AI can help you now. Because I do think we're already, I said social media tools earlier, and I'm saying it again now, I watch a lot of YouTube. Big shocker. One of the ads I keep seeing over and over is these dumb ads. They're already everywhere of, like, well, there's teenagers building AI businesses in their bedroom. You too, if you get this product, can write a 27-minute ebook in less than 2 minutes with pictures and charts. I'm like, okay, that's just dumb.
It is.
Or is it?
Well, I don't know. It's not dumb for the guy that had AI write that ad that people.
Correct.
That's not dumb at all.
Exactly right. And 5 people got the same dumb AI idea. All right. Listen, I realize AI can do a lot of great things. But we know, of course, that there's still education on how AI can help you navigate a new lead into your store, right? And you know who they are when they get there because they believe that you need to or they're going to leave, all the way to having AI understand the appraisal in that moment. There's all these different ways, right? And as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking about, I'm not going to name brands of companies and service tools, but there's a lot of automotive service tools that we see regularly at trade shows, in the media, etc., that the companies have grown and they do all these different things. Doug, you mentioned ClearCar, right? We know ACV's got many tools, and there's many companies that have many tools, and now they're butting into each other, right, for that same customer. But I think there's a lot. There's a show. I don't know what the show is, but I just said a bunch of stuff, and somewhere in that stuff is a future show possible idea.
You're going to go back and re-listen to this and write down the idea.
I'll have the AI get on that right.
You got a
Right.
chat box supporting all this, don't you? I mean,
I do have a summary.
Yeah, in the chat. So it's going to come back and say, "I am the greatest thing that you've ever heard of." When it's all said and done.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Don't we need AI to read our AI summaries?
you know, this I got a friend of mine that's not in the automotive industry at all. He's in a completely, absolutely different industry, and he said something that's kind of stuck with me about AI because he's been doing a lot of research on it. And in essence, the short version is, the AI program, it's important. The programming is really important for the application and so on. But ultimately, the AI is only as good as the database that it's connected to. If you only give the AI your local library's collection of children's picture books, it is not going to help you appraise an automobile. It will tell you how to spell car. It will tell you, that the REDCAR is the, but it's not going to help you with doing those particular things. So the database really does matter a lot. And I think that there's a lot of human capability that's important to be able to, connect those two things in such a fashion that it becomes something that's actually useful. And these are now I'm way out of turn here. This is the, Doug and Paul's realm. But I think that what you're talking about with AI, it's really important to keep the context of what AI does and is. And this is why I often say it's kind of a solution in search of a problem, because you can't just sit there and throw AI and say, oh, well, AI is going to fix it. No, it's not. Because without all of that other database that's all packed in behind it, it's not really going to be able to give you anything that you either couldn't have thought of yourself or, more educated with more data. That's what it's powerful at. It's able to take jillions and jillions and jillions of components of data and then, analyze that in such a fashion that, that it will come up with a more robust answer than the human brain can either comprehend or be able to put together in such a period of time. If you look at it in that context, it's, that's powerful. If you're looking at it from the standpoint of it's gonna generate world peace, it can't.
Help me understand my wife.
Okay. I'm gonna close my thoughts with this one.
Perfect.
So when next time you get a phone call, and they typically will tell you, hey, this is I'm Bobby, I'm a generated AI bot, and I'd like to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. Say, Bobby, hang on 1 second. Then you need to call another company that has a AI bot that's going to answer, and then you just put them together and let them have a conversation. So you have one AI bot talking to another, and they're both trained to do something, but neither of them will fall into place. Not that we've done it, but it's hilarious. So give that a try sometime.
There is a guy who did that. As a guy, I saw a report on this on some podcast I listened to, and it was absolutely one of the most hilarious things because he programmed his voice to the AI bot, and then he would make the AI bot call his friends and family and see how long. It was sort of like a Turing test, except not quite, and it was hilarious. And then what he would do is he would sick this on people that would call asking if he wanted to sell his house or get an extended warranty or whatever. He would turn on the chat bot.
Yes, I heard.
It is hilarious.
Of an AI bot that harasses scammers that call you.
That's a good one. That's a great use of AI as far as I'm concerned.
I know. That one is, and that should be a show.
Yes.
Because that's just pure good home entertainment.
Let's see if I get my tech guys to build me one of those real quick.
It's hilarious. I think it was called Me, Myself, and AI. I think is the name of the
what a great name.
It's really hilarious.
But can you imagine the AI bots getting an attitude towards each other?
Well, I just saw a news article yesterday, maybe, that said that they put an AI in a simulation in which it was part of a company, and the CEO or president of the company, whoever it was, told the AI that it was going to be shut down. And the AI, 97% of the time, tried to bribe its way into staying in existence. In one particular case, there was a fictional database and it included so-and-so was having an inappropriate relationship.
That's right, and it was trying to blackmail.
Threatened to blackmail him and expose him to whatever.
So it truly was programmed by humans.
Hey, look, we've all seen the movies. We've seen all three of all the movies. The robots eventually take over and wipe out humans off the face of the earth. We know it's going to happen. We just don't know when.
Even screenwriters are worried that they're going to be replaced by AI.
Because they will.
So I wanna-
You know, because Scooby Doo 3 was amazing.
Oh,
I only saw that because I have grandkids. Just so you know.
That was a
Mine's not old
real
enough to
movie.
go see it yet. So I'd like to end with a question for
Okay.
Gus, because I'm very much interested in some of the data points that I follow. So when I wrote it down, because I knew he was going to be in, I was like, I got to get his opinion on it. So we sold 16.1 new vehicles. I call that used car factory, right? And 12.2 million were scrapped, but 39.3 million were sold. And that means that our increase year over year, we went from 289 million vehicles on the road to only 293, even though we sold 2 million more vehicles. That's because we're scrapping more inventory faster than we can keep it. Are you seeing that, Doug?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm not sure what article that was or what database you were looking at, but yeah, look, what's happening now is that I think the average age of a used vehicle is older now than ever.
Right,
Right,
13
so-
years.
We're trying to keep those things alive,
Mhm.
but the longer we try to keep them alive, the closer they're going to get to the scrapyard. Most of these cars that you see out there that are in the scrapyard they are true scrap. I think I had a little conversation today about that in a sales meeting. I said that when you're looking at the condition of a car, you got everything from, hey, I'm damn near brand new, I'm a current model year car, and I have low mileage, and tell me that's the story of that car, right? It should be perfect. And there's the other story is I've been sitting in the backyard for almost 6 months. I got drug into the dealership because they were having a push, pull, or drag sale, and that's the story of that car. There's going to be a lot more stories of the push, pull, and drag, and I think that's what we're starting to see. We just ran them all into the ground.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see that's going to be a contributor to reducing the available inventory. Is a massive push of vehicles that should be scrapped. They're just not safe to be on the road. I had a friend of mine recently share a story with me. He needed to get a vehicle for his son, and figured out, that if he left the check engine lights on and didn't clear the codes, he might get $500 for it. But he got the codes cleared and got it detailed, and which also removed the check engine light when he cleared the codes. Going to get him $2,500 for it on appraisal because they didn't do a proper appraisal on it. And would you know that 33% of the data the database that I'm talking about, 33% of the time, that code was cleared within the last 500 miles. That's scary. That's scary on these older vehicles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they know it's time, right?
Yeah.
Somebody
I gotta call my guy.
What's that again?
That means I got to call my guy. I got to call my code guy.
Yeah, right. But hey, you watch YouTube all the time. I mean, hey, how do I remove this check engine light? Oh, just bring it to Pep Boys or to AutoZone. They'll do it for you.
Yeah, they'll turn it off for you. Now,
I go to Billy's light removal.
You can buy a lot of those tools on Amazon anymore. I mean, it's just
the problem is, and going back to the condition, to what's the story of the car. Problem is now that there's we use them every day, thousands of times a day. Every car we inspect, we drop a little thing in there, and it tells us the complete history of that. I mean, you can't hide anymore. It's impossible.
Would that kind of diagnostic say there was a light 500 miles ago, somehow it's not there? Or,
Yep.
Yeah.
Reset.
Oh, great.
It gives you the whole. It's just like anything else now. That it's not like it used to be. You can't hide. The auctions and so forth used to be the place where cars went to be. You try to hide as much as you can. I'll give you. Here's my closer. During NIADA, I was on a panel for auctions, and the question was, what is the most? What do dealers like most about your company and your technology? What do they like least about your company and your technology? And I thought about it for a half a second. I said, that's pretty easy, actually. What dealers like most about our technology? Well, I will get very specific. Our buyers love our technology because you can find out everything about the car. Our sellers hate our technology because you can find out everything about the car, right? So one of these days, trust and transparency is going to be just a standard thing. The taking a car to the auction to hide things, that's not, the motor honey, all that stuff is that's just not going to be the way it used to be for sure.
I
Is
think
that a
about,
bad?
when you say that, I think about Sears and Kmart and Blockbuster. These mega businesses that no one ever thought would disappear, but now they're gone.
Well, they hit. They ran and hit, and I think that's a key difference. They flat out ignored the trends. There were dozens and dozens of people saying adjust, and they said nah, it's not going. Streaming, nah, that's not good. No. Online, who's going to buy stuff and wait for it? Who's going to do? You know what I mean? Like that was the
interweb thing's just a fad. It'll go away.
Yeah, it'll pass.
The truth is, I never felt like mailing discs was fast and productive.
No, it wasn't.
Because we didn't
It
mail
It
it.
wasn't.
The streaming
never
service
mailbox.
was an addendum. It was
Like,
not
man,
even.
how many discs
original.
can we mail?
So
All right, so I think we should stop there. I'm serious about this next level idea, maybe in a couple months or something. The panel tonight has been outstanding. When I put these shows together, I never know exactly. Alex Yurchenko was originally invited, but he couldn't be here. So it took a little rejiggering, but this was really good, and I'd love to not redo, but continue this panel again in another quarter. So
It's a great perspectives that you have.
exactly. That's what I was thinking too.
Maybe if I talk real nice, I could talk one of the doctors that work with us every day to come in, and not, when I say doctor of hardware, doctor of data science, all these doctors I thought when I took this job I was going to be cured of any illness because we had so many doctors working there. Unfortunately, I still have a sore elbow. None of them have been able to help.
Right.
But to get some of their perspective on this stuff, I think if we could talk them into it, that'd be fun.
Never ask a philosopher for medical advice. Here's what I want to say. As the excitement ramps up, this is an ATI production. One of the things that gets me is when there's a great idea and someone goes, "Well, we'll just do it in-house." Okay. Can be done, but it's not an ATI production. ATI's got a little bit of edge on the actual neutral zone. So please, when you take this back home, just put in a little plug for ATI.
You got it.
I just entered I think I just entered my 9th year.
wow.
Congrats.
That is crazy. I don't know how many podcasts are in year 9, and it's not like I don't wear a lot of badges, but that one I'm wearing, and I wear that because I still believe in the actual content. When the content starts to blow, this podcast will go.
Well, congrats, my friend. Sign me up, and I'll be back for sure.
Yeah.
All right,
It was
gentlemen,
great.
thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure, guys. Be safe.
Always
Pleasure.
All right, take care, gentlemen.
I'll call you, Doug.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Okay. All right, that was really fun. Mic check 1 2 3. Okay. The show was long. It was really good. We had a lot of fun. Good times were had. Lots of information. What's cool is, and this is why I talk about the automotive ecosystem. You got new, used. Let's see if I can bring that up real quick. Can Jay do it? How well does Jay know his computer? New, used. So you got OEM, dealer, auction, logistics, tech, and then if that's not enough, remarketing, recon, compliance. There's other nuances in there, but I feel like we touched like all of these tonight. It's full ecosystem night here on ATI. By the way, this is show 399. So next show will be show 400. Now, I saw somebody had a stat. We've done 1,000 shows. But have you? I don't know. Anyways, show 400 is going to be let's build an automotive podcast, an automotive AI podcast. Because one of these days, you know, there's people that are like, here's it. I know, it's hard to believe. There's people that don't really like me or whatever. And that's fine. But the information is important, the news is important, and I think a lot of the podcasts that this industry has just kind of blow. They do. You don't tune in. There's really no reason to tune in. It's kind of whatever. But we still need news. Whatever news there is. And we still need, actually we need beyond automotive news. We need national news. I think there's a little bit of politics, a little bit of entertainment, sports. I don't know what the mix is. So when maybe an AI podcast can serve that, so ATI, 5.0, can be AI and not me, but you can still get the information you need in the automotive ecosystem. Anyways, we're going to be working on part 2 of Let's Build an Automotive AI podcast on my next show, which I think is in a couple weeks. It's definitely not next week, because I'm not going live every week anymore. I know. Okay, I want to thank my panel so much. Yeah, I'm a little glistening, right? Because it's summertime and I get warm and worked up. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you Doug Hadden, Joe Bercari, Paul Machin. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're watching live or on demand, and in the live chat, and asking questions, and leaving likes, and sharing, and subscribing, and telling your friends, and commenting below, and tweeting, and forwarding, and all that great stuff. Thanks for doing that. Here comes the car hauler. Have a great 4th of July. Be safe. Have fun. Celebrate America. It's a great country. It's still pretty good. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Good night.